Yo, what up, what up, what up, what up, what up? No, welcome back to another episode of Let's Talk Fam. Obviously, you can see me and Bo Wright was talking about this last time that we actually need to get PG on. So I don't know who worked the magic. I don't know who prayed the prayer, but we got the man in the building.
I'm glad y'all let me be a part. Sometimes I feel like I'm on the sideline, but it's cool. I ain't mad. I ain't jealous. I weeped a little bit. I cried some tears. But I'm just grateful that you and Bo Wright let me in just to hang out with y'all.
Every good coach got to be on the sideline. You got your playing days.
It's cool, man. I know where I am in the pecking order here at Tab, so I'm not mad. It's Trey, Dante, Bo Wright, and then way down the list is PG. So it's cool. I ain't mad at it. You know. I'll try to work my way up.
Hey, it's your world. We just
started
living
from the bottom. Now I'm here. You know,
it's your world. We living in it. It's your world.
We're good to be here, man. So I'm just
17 years.
17
years.
Yeah,
That's
17.
a long 17 years. Like I don't think people like truly like understand like how long it is to be doing a thing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, whether that's running, working out, cycling, reading,
Yeah.
school for 17 years. They say like a habit, in order for it to stick, you have to do it consistently. I don't know, maybe 90 days or something like that, or maybe even longer.
Mm-hmm.
And to be doing a thing such as leading and preaching and traveling 17 years is like an immensely long time.
Yeah, man, it's cool. I mean, I'm over 20-some total pastoring. I think the real thing is 17 years in one space. I did an interview this week, and my one of my mentors, Dr. Martha Simmons, said, "You can't be a young preacher no more. You're not a young pastor no more." I've kind of crossed the threshold into OG status, whatever that means, which is kind of interesting. So 17 years is quite a long time. Biblically, 17 is the number for complete victory, which is kind of interesting. And so this anniversary was very reflective for me, with so much other things that's been going on in my life personally. But man, I really am appreciative of the journey of being in this space amongst these people in this assignment for 17 years. So, man, I appreciate you letting me come on and kind of reflect on these 17 years and what that looks like, what it's been like, what it is, and then even going forward. So, man, thank y'all so much for allowing me to come and share, man, because it's been great.
Yeah, what you remind me of is I was reading in this Baldwin book, this Baldwin quote, that you said that you can't be you're not a young preacher anymore. Baldwin had the same suggestion that, like, he had to grieve that, like, he had become a writer well and good, but now I have to go the distance.
Wow, yeah.
And one of the things he had to grieve about going the distance was he felt like, okay, I'm losing my youthfulness, and now I'm actually a writer, and that comes a kind of grief that like, okay, yeah, I'm not young anymore.
Yeah.
Like I don't know if that resonates any with you, but I'm interested to hear.
Yeah, I'm not young, but I'm trying to be better. It's interesting. I had a conversation with Dr. Walter Scott Thomas last year at a conference that he convenes, and I was sitting there with my best friend, Dr. Porter, and Pastor Matthew Watley. And he looked at us, and we were just sitting there eating breakfast, and he said, "You do realize what season y'all in?" And we were looking like, "Nah, what you mean, Bishop?" He said, "Man, you're between ages 40 and 60, which means you're in the time of your legacy." So in conjunction with 17 years here pastoring the Tabernacle, my age, 44, getting ready to turn 45 in a few weeks, I also am uniquely and keenly aware that I'm in legacy mode, which means that everything that has kind of been accomplished, whatever that means, that now it is, all right, we need to see this all the way through, because I almost feel like I'm at near that halfway point. It's almost like, okay, you're at the halfway point. Now it's what you're going to do to kind of further the call, the ministry here at Tab, but then also personally, what does that mean as far as legacy, and what does that look like on this other side of life? Because, in preaching and pastoring, we're in a unique thing when you can be the young preacher for a while. Like typically, I would say when I was coming up, the young preachers, anybody under 50.
Yeah.
And partly that was because I think most people were starting pastoring later. We see the cycle now in ministry. I was 23 years old. That was my first assignment in Alabama, getting called here at 27. So the cycle has that I kind of started earlier, which means the longer tenure of kind of having to navigate leadership. And also, I've been in a place long enough that I've been different things to different people at different seasons. So I was a young 27-year-old, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed. I readily admit I had a chip on my shoulder because I felt I had to prove myself. I didn't want to jack it up. I didn't want to mess it up. And now here you are 17 years later, whereas when I came in, I was the grandson of many of the people that I pastored. And now we're seeing a morph where I moved from just being son, grandson, to almost like big brother, father figure for many. And that's kind of unique and that's kind of interesting. And so with the different seasons for which I'm in, it also kind of begins to develop what kind of season a church is in. You know, our church has always kind of been very progressive and thriving, but I've had to navigate it in various seasons, you know, from when I first got here, first few years of trying to get in, trying to mature, having to go through my bumps and bruises to learn. You know, I think that was it. And then you go through a period where it feels kind of like you got it together. You're kind of comfortable. You're in a good rhythm. And then COVID happens. And so trajectory changes. Yeah, it was that season, those years was difficult to say the least, simply because I think I am a quote unquote control freak in this way where I like to know what's going on. And COVID forced us to have to operate with no roadmap, no kind of playbook, because none of us had ever experienced it, and try to keep a large entity, large machine going, because it wasn't just to maintain this spiritual haven for so many people, but also I had a lot of people that needed this place because it was a place of employment. Facts. And having to wear that to make sure that we were still thriving so that people could provide for their families and still kind of do that. So, and you went into it not sure how long it would be. Now on the other side of it, whatever that looks like, we're now in another iteration of what Tab is, what kind of pastor I can be. So I think that's what makes this kind of interesting 17 years, because as I look back, that would be some of the things that I really think through and think about.
Yeah, I was talking to a few people around Tabernacle, and it seemed, and Jazz, my wife, for those listeners who don't know, that's my wife, Jazz.
Beautiful Jazz.
Thank you,
wonderful.
brother.
He outpunted his coverage.
Yes, I did.
Yes,
I did. Hallelujah. Yes, sir. So one of the things that she texted me, we was texting doing service. That camera shot got on me texting. I was texting my wife, and she said it was right after the news segment of service, and she was like, "Man, like, you know, it's an amazing thing that when people talk about PG, they call him a visionary. You know, because." Okay, to be when you came in here, you're coming into an environment where there's already a story, already a program, already it's almost already a name. Yeah. It's like you're walking in. You're pretty much like a coach who takes over a very storied program, and you're
the Lakers of church. You know
exactly, exactly. You're taking over a story program, and that's a lot of pressure.
That's a lot of pressure,
especially. You know, one of my friends, Jason, he always tells me, he always quick to remind me, he's like, bro, you're 32, you're a minister, you're right. That's a whole lot of pressure on a young brother. You know, to be even younger than that, to take over something like that's a whole lot of pressure on a young person at that time. But somehow, you know, over 17 years, one of the overwhelming words, metaphors that people use when they talk about you and your leadership is the word visionary. I would assume... Would it be safe to assume that came from basketball?
Man, you know what? And I'm glad you use that, because I do think a lot of my leadership tactics come from my time of being an athlete, being a guard, point guard, basketball, seeing the play before the play is called. Or as my coach would say, time, space, and opportunity, knowing when and where the right moment, the right thing needs to be happening. I would tell you it's interesting that people call me a visionary. I would say I believe that's an accurate assessment, but it is a burdensome assessment because to be a visionary, oftentimes I am burdened with the vision of having to navigate something that no one else can see but me, and having to chart a course and lead people into stuff that oftentimes not only can they not see, but it's hard for them to comprehend and believe.
Yes.
But I will say what has been very helpful for me is that I've been really, really committed and believe in what I believe God has placed in my heart and in my eyes. And will always let that be the thing that kind of leads me and guides me. Because I see things that others can't see, and I am okay with that. Now, the burden of the daddy is trying to convince people of something that I'm just having to be like, just wait and see. Yeah. It's going to happen. Like when I first came, I'll be honest with you, Dante, I saw our church continuing to grow. I saw us moving into another space, another kind of level. And I didn't want to say it as publicly because that can be kind of misconstrued. Yeah. I just honestly trust the calling God has placed in my life. I may not do a lot of things well, but this thing, ministry, church, this is what God has placed me here to do and to be. And I am okay with that. You know, I know there's some who say, man, you know, I'm so much. I'll be honest with you. When God breathed into me, he breathed me into this space to think this way, to do what we do. And I'm okay about that. I'm unashamedly all right knowing that this church thing, kingdom thing, God has graced me in a unique way that after all these years have passed, I just realized I see things differently. It's like Magic Johnson on the court, man. He got court vision. Like, you didn't see James Worthy streaking down the left side. Magic did. There were times you thinking, man, he looking out the other side of his head. It's because sometimes you just innately are gifted to do certain things. And so that was it. So I embraced that title, even though I know the burden that comes with being a visionary.
There's this video of Magic Johnson floating around not too long ago of him playing ball with one of the teams that he owned. And I mean, you know, granted, I'm born in 92. So
that's when the dream team started.
Hold on.
Wow.
Don't get on me because I'm about to ask you who's the dream team.
Please don't say that. 1992, you don't know who the dream team is?
Nah, so I know. So, hold on. Let me see if I get it right now. Now it was MJ. It was Magic. I feel like I'm about to get this wrong.
Do you need to stop while you're ahead? Larry Bird, Patrick Ewing.
See, I was going to say Patrick Ewing. Now, I'm not lying. I really was going to say Patrick Ewing.
Okay. Chris Mullin.
See, I don't know who that is.
Amazing. You don't know who Chris Mullin is?
I don't know. I'm a football dude. Like,
yeah, this is a shame. Okay, this is sad. But the interview has been derailed.
I do know the Fab Five, though. I know the Fab Five later on. Ball heads, the ball headed brothers.
The black Nike socks.
Yeah. But I think there's something about like both of those teams and those men on those teams, you know, especially thinking about Magic Johnson in this video that is resurfacing around social media, in which he's much older. He's far more removed from the year 1992, but he still has the same type of grace. He still has the same type of muscle memory where, like, he is a different version of himself, a much older, much slower version of himself, but he still has the same type of magic.
Yeah.
How in 17 years have you been able to do it? Because I think very much so, like I listened to one of your sermons, and you have grown in a very real way. You had that thing, but I think with time comes a settling.
Absolutely.
Okay, the older I get, the more I'm okay with the magic that I possess. And I think
you own yourself and you own your voice. I think even you as a writer and an artist, because I view people who are gifted as artists. How are that artist transcribed? Mine through preaching, yours through, writing, others, Malcolm could be through editing a visual. We're all artists.
Facts.
And there comes a point when you have to own your art or own your voice and the way you view your art. So for me, it was really, preaching, communicating. There was come a point where I just came to the realization I just got to be me. And if I can be me, whatever me is, I'd rather be the dopest original me that I can be instead of being cheap imitations of anybody else. But I think in communication, especially in preaching, we all have people we hear because you oftentimes echo what you hear.
Mm-hmm.
I would say that early on, I was a tremendous echo. It took me a while before I became my own voice. And that was an important thing for me.
Do you remember a distinctive sermon or series where you can look back on and say, you know what? Was it a moment, a catalytic moment where it was like, I think like Denise Lebatov, now I become myself?
You know, the crazy thing is, if I was to look back, it would be probably the second time I went to do Hampton's Ministers Conference, the choir guild.
Give us the first time and then paint a picture of the second time.
Well, the first time I went, it was like 2009, I believe it was. And I actually preached Psalm 124. The second time I went, I think I did 1 Chronicles chapter 14. Reason they resonate with me, I just remember all my sermons. But I think the fact that I got invited to those spaces gave me a confidence that you have a unique voice to do what you do. Now, typically, most people try to go to those spaces. I always tell people to be something different. I've never written a sermon. I've kind of always been kind of extemporaneous, kind of tightly flowed preacher. I know which way I'm going. And to be on those spaces and still be me was when I was like, you know what, let me hone in to be who I am. And I think moments like that has kind of fortified in my mind, you do you well. And I rather fail at me than trying to win being somebody else.
My.
And that is it. So I think that was it. So if I was to say probably those moments, but then I think the best and favorite place for me to preach is Tab. I mean, they've allowed me to kind of experiment. I mean, I've been able to do a lot of different ways and things. Even now, I'm doing stuff now. I feel like I'm doing, like even on Sundays with the Ephesians series, how I wanted to try to morph into how I want to do it. And so I feel like you just need spaces that you can experiment. And Tab has been that. It's been a lab for me because I love preaching. Mm-hmm. I love the art of preaching. I love the intricacies of preaching. I love that. And I think that's what has kind of made me not be stale, just like even with ministry. I'm not bored with it. Mm-hmm. I absolutely love it. Like I really feel, and this is crazy when I tell people this, I feel like we haven't really even scratched the surface, even at Tab, of the totality of potential and possibilities that we can become, right? I think we spend a lot of time on the substrata, the foundation, and trying to get the right pieces in the right place and what that looks like. And, but I think the best is still yet to come. Like that is still a thing that drives me and really pushes me. Mm-hmm. And so I'm very energized by that, encouraged by that kind of thinking. So,
So if anybody watches you on Sunday, they'll notice, if they pay particular attention to you, as I've had a chance and others have had a chance to like watch you on Sundays or even throughout the week, but particularly on Sunday, if they watch you close enough, you'll be doing this and you'll be going through mentally through your sermon. Is that accurate? You're
Absolutely.
mentally going.
Yes.
Are you a type of preacher that in your own space, are you getting into your mode in your own space round the
People
clock?
probably think I'm talking to myself, but I'm really preaching. Now, I
Jazz get on me about that all the time. I tell her like, babe, it's going to work.
I think smart people talk to themselves. I think the problem is when you start answering yourself, and I ain't got to that place yet.
Okay.
But I do talk to myself because I get thoughts all the time, and sometimes it's in me, and I got to figure out how to say it, and I embody it because I'm not just saying the sermon; I am the sermon. Mm-hmm. Like you can't be good and great at anything if you can't become it.
That's good.
So every sermon I'm having to embody. I am Paul writing this letter to the Ephesians, right? Like I am him. And I got to figure out a better way for me to contemporize what Paul was putting in this ancient letter to some people that I'm trying my best. I got to become this person. Every sermon becomes personal because I got to embody it because I can't convince you of its truth if I ain't believing it for myself.
That's real.
And so, yes. And so the embodiment takes on, it's always going. I'm never not preparing, right? Like there's never a point I'm not thinking about it. Even if it's subconsciously, It's on my mind. So yes, I'm a slave to it. And I feel like you can't be great at anything if you're not willing to make that total sacrifice and be in it, right? Like you don't just show up to the game and think you're going to play. It takes, how well did you manage yourself in off season? Yep. How serious did you take the practice sessions? How well did you do in film study, right? Like that's what makes greatness. And if you can't put that totality in what it means to be it, then for me, I just can't do it, right? Like I just only got one way, one way to do it. So,
and I think some people may be struggling with, you know, they know that at some season in their life, something was affirmed in them. And maybe they may be young, because I feel like right now I'm going through that season where, like, you know, I'm dealing with the fact that, like, I'm not young anymore, you know, and like I am who I am, and I got to find out what I'm doing. And I feel like sometimes people sometimes get burnt out with the idea of having to be this thing for so long, for so many people, when you know you are that thing, but maybe you're going through the margin where, like, we talked about earlier, angular velocity, where, like, you're traveling that distance over time, because angular velocity equals distance over time. So you're traveling that distance over time, and you're trying to figure out how to get from point A to point B without, like, losing yourself in the process. I'm not talking about losing your identity. Yeah. I'm talking about the vibrancy, the energy that makes us us. Yeah. You've been at it for so long. Yeah.
It becomes reflex. I feel like it's like muscle memory. Yeah. You know what I mean? There's certain things you just do. Yes. Because it's what you do. I mean, it just is what it is. It's what you do. I breathe it. I live it, right? I wake up to it. I go to sleep with it. And I think that's what it takes. You almost have to become obsessive in this thing, right? Like, there's a part of me that honestly is unapologetic at this season, because I really feel like I'm operating in rarefied air. And so there's not a lot that have been able to experience these kind of moments in ministry. Not that I deserve it, but as much as the grace is there, there's also the work.
Facts.
You know what I mean?
Oh, big
like,
facts.
I've been graced forward. God has been more than generous with favor in my life. And I will always say that. But my response to God's grace has been to put in the work. And so for me, it's like, you know, let's go all the way. Let's see what we can do. Right? Like, there's a certain level, like, you get to, you like, man, let's just see greatness. Let's see if we can go it. Like, some people ask, man, LeBron, what else you got to prove? Dude, it's year 21. But there's a part of him that's like, I feel good. I can still. His last game, they just got eliminated. He had been in the league 21 years. Bruh, man, almost my age. He put in 30 points. Almost a triple-double. And you're like, this dude done put in 21 years. But he puts in the work, and he understands what's on the line. It's like, I can still do it.
It's his legacy years.
Yeah, his legacy years, man. Yeah. So,
his sons are watching.
Yeah.
So many people are watching. Yeah. And I think, yes, it gets to the point where, like, I think the older we get, the more we're aware of the people that's watching. I think the younger we are, the more we watch people. The older we get, we're more cognizant of the people who watch.
Absolutely.
And
it's almost like what Kobe said. Kobe was like, look, I don't know when I'm going to show up. I play every game because I don't know who's going to be seeing me for the first or last time. And I mean, that analogy for ministry is always important. So I always try to give my best. I think wherever I am, you're going to get all of me.
Yes.
Crowd of 2, crowd of 2,000, crowd of 20,000. Yeah. I'm going to try to give my absolute best. Everything else. Now, the challenge with that is I'm holding everybody else to the standard. And I would tell you the hardest person that I'm on in the entire world is myself, because I hold myself to that kind of standard. So it's serious. But that's how I feel. Yeah, 17.
Yeah. All right. So I hope y'all enjoy that. Now I'm going to shoot some rapid fire off to you.
Okay.
Favorite type of movie?
I'm a
thriller
movie guy.
Or horror? What you
know what's crazy?
Romance.
I like all movies. The one thing I don't like gory movies.
Okay, cool. So Saul, you ain't
not doing that. Like Final Destination, way before your
What?
time.
Oh, I love Final Destination.
Can't do it.
What?
Can't watch it.
Jeepers Creepers.
No way.
Oh man,
It's gory. Because it's gory. I rather see. I can do suspense. I like comedy. You know, I love those kind of things. But I just don't do gory. Anything else outside of gory, I just can't. Somebody's leg getting cut off.
I feel that.
You know, tree timbers going through the window, people flying off roller coasters. I just
You did say Sunday, the older you get, the more emotional
listen.
you become.
I've become extremely emotional. I've been sitting in movies crying. I feel so bad, so embarrassed. I be like, I hope everybody ain't watching me, but I get all teary. I let it be an emotional moment. Yeah. And I will cry. I will drop quickly. I do that. I ain't gonna front. I'm not ashamed. I'm a crier as I gotten older. I feel that. I will tear up. Yes.
100.
I'm sensitive right now.
Favorite vacation spot? Just you getting away, your dream vacation spot. You getting away from the world.
You know, it's probably be two places for me that I really have enjoyed throughout the years. And I've been great. And I'm going to do a better job of making sure I go somewhere. Cayman Islands is cool. You know what's so amazing? I don't like American beaches.
I don't like beaches in general. I'm a pretty boy. So
and the reason I don't like American beaches is that sometimes the sand is kind of hard and the water ain't all that clear. Yeah. Cayman Islands has probably been one of the best beach experiences that I've ever had. Water so clear. I enjoy that. Another one may surprise a lot of people, but I have to clarify why it's my favorite. Las Vegas. And the reason I like Las Vegas is because for me, when I go on vacation, I have to rest on vacation. I'm not one that I can't come back from vacation needing to rest from the vacation.
Facts.
So for me, a real chill experience is I need to go where I can get as much rest as possible. One of the reasons I love Las Vegas is by the time you get there, you don't need a vehicle. The rooms are amazing. But Vegas can be what you want it to be from this perspective. I can sleep all day, and I typically do on vacation. When I'm on vacation, I'm asleep. But you can wake up at any time and it still be on, like stuff still is up. And I've enjoyed that. I don't want to go on vacation where I had to plan. I've been on vacation in Vegas sometimes, and it may be a Tuesday, and I call downstairs, and they'll tell me, oh, well, so-and-so's doing a concert at this thing, so I can just go. I can be random in Vegas, or I can just be restful in Vegas. I don't have to plan, and I feel like I've had the full experience. So for those who trying to be hypercritical, I'm not going there to gamble. PG gambling, no, I've never been a gambler, so that's never it. Even though me and my friends, we'll gamble $1 on stuff. Like,
fact.
Bet dollars. We were serious about that. But
for sure.
No, it's there because I think it is really a cool, chill place, and I've been there, and it's just great food, great shopping. I mean, it's just it gives me everything I need in one area, one spot.
For sure. So I know, last two things. I know you like fashion. I know you like food. I'm going to go with the food first. I'm going to go with the fashion.
Sounds good.
Okay. So we know that you don't eat meat.
I don't. Since 2008. Most people don't believe that. But 2008, I didn't eat meat. But I added fish some years later. I was, initially when I started, I just wasn't eating no meat at all. But about a few years after that, my trainer was like, Pastor, you need to get some protein. So that's why I added fish to my thing.
So your favorite type of meal? If you're going to eat something where you just about to blow,
my favorite foods is foods that I shouldn't be eating. Let me give my top three.
Okay, give me your top three.
Pizza.
All right.
I love pizza.
Do you have a favorite? A favorite
just
one?
Cheese pizza.
Just cheese pizza. Asa loves cheese pizza.
Just cheese pizza.
He don't like sausage, no nothing. Just cheese pizza.
I can just have cheese pizza, and it would be the best thing in the world.
Is Asa gonna be a preacher?
Listen, man,
be a preacher.
He got some preacher in him. I can tell, because it's typically us rambunctious children that the Lord calls. So I see it on him.
One way or another.
Like, boy, you're just So it's pizza. Number two, man, it's gonna be wild. I love lasagna. Vegetable or seafood lasagna. I love lasagna.
Family member make it?
No, it's just a random. And you know what's so funny? I was never a foodie growing up. My grandparents weren't big on. Listen, I was growing under this. This was a simple motto in my house. You eat what we put on your plate. I didn't choose our menu. Like I'm jealous of these young kids. They get to choose, tell us where they want to go to. I'm like, no.
When I came home, and everything.
I was just happy to have food. I just had food on the table. You go eat what is there. Yeah. Many nights it'd be this for the old school people. Meatloaf or some cabbage or some country cube steak back when I was growing up. So
y'all in North Carolina.
I didn't have a choice. So I I didn't live to eat. I eat to live, right? So that was it. So it's pizza for me. It's lasagna for me. And, man, give me a good, it's crazy now, like Impossible Burger. Burger, no, here it is. I'm sorry. 3. Pizza, lasagna, and my favorite food of all time, French fries, man. French fries.
Okay.
Man, listen, I am a connoisseur of French fries.
Who has the best? You a McDonald's fry or Crinkle fry?
We're going to have these. We're going to have this argument. I don't even do Zaxby's. I haven't been to Zaxby's in a while.
McDonald's or Burger King?
McDonald's is okay. Sometimes Burger King, they changed their formula a few years ago. It ain't been the same. Wendy's used to be really good until they done really changed their stuff. Man, I'm going to tell you what I was addicted to. I will still do this to this day. Chick-fil-A waffle fries, man.
That's a good fry, though. That's a good choice.
With that Polynesian sauce?
Nah, yeah. Chick-fil-A sauce.
No,
Chick-fil-A, come
Polynesian,
on.
my friend.
No.
God bless your heart. We're still praying your salvation.
Jesus.
Polynesian sauce. But I'm going to tell you what else is good. There's a spot in my hometown called Hops in Greensboro, North Carolina. I didn't know it, but growing up is one of the top 10 burger joints in the country. And they have different fries. So you can get truffle fries, garlic parmesan fries. They have crab Old Bay fries. So I just like the variety. If I can go find a French fry restaurant, I would try different fries. So French fries are my favorite. I don't need to eat none of these 3.
Yeah.
They're horrible for your diet, the midsection, all those things. And once you pass 40, see, you 32 right now. You still get that youthful metabolism.
I don't know now.
Past 40, man, that stuff will sit on you, man. It is the worst. But I love pizza. I love lasagna. I love fries. Yeah.
That's one. I feel like, so over the last 6 months, I've been getting, my therapist was like, yo, you need to find something to get involved in that, like, you know, that taps into the creativity in a different way. So you're just not always overburdened with, like, the writing, the creativity part. So I've been getting into really 3 things: photography, architecture, and fashion.
Oh, wow, dope.
And just really been invested mentally and getting very invested. And one of the things I really love now is just like fashion. And one of the things that I like have paid attention to is like basketball players and football players, you know, especially black men in those spaces. Like fashion has become an amazing part of self-expression. And I think there's something about fashion. You know, you name this in yourself, that the older you get, the more emotional you become. But in a very real way, the older you get, the more vulnerable you become. You know, because to be emotional is to be vulnerable, but also to be fashionable is to be vulnerable, because you have to make choices, you know, that, you know, somebody may not understand, and you got to be willing to just like walk out on it and be like, it's either going to be a hit.
So you mean like the red boots or the white boots?
See, we wasn't about to go there. I'm gonna get you some white boots someday.
Hopefully they will post your red boots on this podcast.
I'm gonna get you some red boots for your birthday.
Let's not do the red.
I'm gonna get white. Now they got some Chelsea like sand tan ones. I think you enjoy. They're fire. They're fire. I'll get you those for your birthday.
I'm hoping that Malcolm will put these boots up on this podcast just as a photo, so people will see. I ain't gonna front. I feel like it speaks to your bravery, and it speaks to your creative courage, because you wear them with so much confidence. I mean, it is amazing, and I love it. You want me to pulpit before, right?
I did.
For my anniversary.
For your anniversary, I would have read ones for your
man,
anniversary.
Yeah.
But I think you also make some. But I think for you to be like 40, early 40, and to make the fashion choices that you're much different than many of the other black men your age.
And it's so crazy. My friends try to say I'm a fashion thing among preachers, which is interesting. Let me tell you this. So here's the interesting thing. I'm raised that way. So rest in peace to my grandma and granddad. So my granddad was the more basic guy. I mean, he was going to wear the same stuff every single day, right? I mean, granddad was going to put on these, I could still see these khakis he would wear with his sweater. He would wear it 3 out of 4 days a week. That's just my granddad. That's just what he going to do. But my grandma dressed. She would dress me for school. I would have to wear suits growing up. One of the things, man, dealing with her death now, you know, and her estate, is she has so many clothes that now I'm trying to figure out with family who wants a lot of her clothes. She had so many clothes. She had clothes with tags in it. So my grandma was big on clothes. Fashion was huge. So me growing up, that was a thing. I'm getting dressed for church. I'm getting dressed for school. As I've gotten older, man, I've kind of embraced it. I like that kind of stuff. I like looking at clothes. I like seeing how patterns and stuff. You know, most people don't realize this, but I'm kind of sort of colorblind. So I kind of had to develop something. There have been some risks I've taken that I'm not sure was the best risk, but I stepped out there, not as confidently with you, like with those red boots, but I stepped out there. I stepped.
You stepped.
So man, I just enjoy it. Like one of my bucket list things is I'm going to Fashion Week in Paris.
Let's go.
I'm going to do that. I enjoy that. I'll go when I preach in New York, and I do that multiple times every year. I like walking down Fifth Avenue. I like seeing stuff like that. Like I like staying up late at night and watching stuff that I see people do. There's some dope black fashion designers
100%
that I really enjoy, and I just like looking at this stuff. That becomes also a thing from the shoes all the way up, right? You know, everyone knows I'm a diehard sneakerhead, but I'm also looking at the different like textures and patterns that go with stuff. So I'm really enjoying that. So yeah, we need to do that fashion thing because I think that
we should. So I'm going to ask this question.
Okay.
Now, one of the things that I love to do is I'll get dressed and I'll get in front of the mirror. Do you have a mirror that you?
I do.
Okay.
I do that.
So I want you. Last question, to create the outfit that makes you feel the best.
Wow, that's crazy. You know, it's nice suit.
So you're gonna go to the suit look?
I think the suit, man, has always been a power thing. You know, it's so interesting. I'm trying to wear more suits on Sunday now, and I have to remind people. You know, most people don't realize this, D, but I preach a lot on Sunday.
a lot,
and I sweat a lot, and that is not really good for your clothes. So a lot of times I have to remind people that A is just the wear and tear on clothes. B, on Sundays, I don't pick my clothes. You know, I let staff kind of, I don't want to think about that. Like they've been around me long enough. Let me know with that. But also, see, man, unless you go with me, it's hard changing. That's a lot of different changing of shirts and undergarments and stuff like that. But I'm trying to wear my suit more on Sunday also because, man, I can fit them again, man. That COVID weight was hard to get off. Yeah. You know, I became an emotional eater during COVID. And so it just took a long time to kind of get that off. Shout out to my tailor, Keith Jones. He keeps me sharp. And I feel like that suit thing just for us, for me growing up, it just said something, right? Like I love to put on my jeans, joggers. That's cool. But it's nothing like to me that speaks power than a black man in a suit. So give me a nice suit.
Double-breasted or?
You know, I've been really feeling the double breast lately. I feel like it's a good silhouette on me. I've been trying to wear more ties lately. I was going through a season where I was not wearing ties. Just give me a nice shirt that would pop. Whether it's, you know, I think it's nothing greater than that white shirt. It just pops. And then, man, let me put on some comfortable shoes that kind of accent it, man. Some low J's or whatever. That to me is the thing I just love. I just feel like that adds it all. Because nothing speaks to me like a black man in a suit. It just sings so power. So, but I'm getting older, man. I want to be comfortable. If you catch me in the airport, I'm having some joggers and a hoodie. You know, that's just a comfortable thing to do. But I think that's it. But we need to make that fashion show thing.
Oh yeah, we will. Trust me, we will. It's already in the works. It's already in the works.
That happen.
100. Yeah. But we are, man. I'm thankful for you, man, joining. You know, the podcast, man. It's you know, our first time, man, was, I don't know if you remember, man, I slid in your DM in Facebook.
Wow, that's right.
Yeah, and then we got lunch at Mellow Mushroom.
Yeah, we met that man.
Yeah.
Good young brother, man. You've been amazing for us, man. Thank you so much for all that you do for our church. And the Tab, man, thank y'all for 17 years, man. I cannot express enough how grateful I am that y'all have allowed me to just grow, to be in 17 years. And I never would have had this opportunity. God has been good. And so thank y'all for loving me through thick and thin, through ups and downs, even though as I'm kind of navigating through this journey of grief over these last few months, there's no greater supportive place, no more wonderful people than Tab. So I love you guys. I can't tell you how excited I am. And I believe we got more work to do. So let's see if we can ride this thing on out till the wheels fall off. So I appreciate that.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate y'all. Love y'all much.
Man, love you, brother.
Peace.
All right, y'all. Be blessed. Take care.